Well, hello, folks. How are you doing? Just a tad bit late because we were working with some technical issues.
Mhm.
No one knows what that's about. But anyway, we overcame, we kicked its ass, and we are here at last. So it's going to be a gas, and I love it when I rhyme all the time. What can I say? But anyway, welcome. Good to see y'all. This is a second look. You know who I am, and my lovely co-host for many, many years, Miss Trina, and in the more recent past, present, Miss Jenny, who all of y'all know. So welcome everybody. It's good to be back. I haven't been back here since last Thursday, but I've had a lot to do but it's been great. Lost like 5 pounds and really getting the definition, but that's me. How
So
are you?
awesome.
It is fun.
They
Uh,
say no pain, no gain. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
it is. I mean, the body is an amazing piece of machinery. And it loves abuse. Abuse, let me just put it this way, of a positive kind, like straining your muscles, getting
Force.
your
It
freaking
likes
abs tight
force.
again. Yeah, yeah,
Force. It likes to
yeah,
deal
yeah,
with the
yeah,
force of gravity. It
yeah.
loves it. Yeah.
As my wife tells me, men, particularly as you get older, you lose your ass. Now, I got a great ass, what she tells me, but that's because you bust your ass to get a good looking ass.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
saying. So, speaking of
Mhm.
asses, may I just speak favor over us all? Nothing implied by that. Look at
Got
Jenny.
good ones, haven't we, Trina? We've got really good ones. I just know
See, see, and it isn't an
All right.
legit,
Call me
amazing,
BB,
like
bubble
shells.
butt.
isn't an
Yeah.
amazing aspect of human nature is that we like butts. Yeah, we
Yeah.
really do.
I
They're
like
Yeah,
big
cute.
yeah.
butts and I
I
cannot lie.
mean, back in my youth, the chicks used to wear hip huggers. And I gotta
Yeah.
tell you what, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that just accentuated that booty, was right there. We didn't call
Mhm.
it booty back then. It was just a good looking ass.
I
But
love what,
you know,
Jean.
Mhm.
I love it when you see a woman with a good booty and you can put music
yeah,
to
that's what
jiggle.
I'm
I hear
talking about.
tunes to the jiggle, and women have their own tunes to their jiggle. The jiggle is very individual.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
Yeah.
like
look
it.
out throughout our
Yeah.
history of humanity. I mean, the chicks, when they shake, we start to bake.
Oh, yeah. It's fun.
All
There
right.
is
What a way
something
to
about
start the show off. This is a
you.
non-sexual show. I mean, but we're just
You make
talking
me want to
about
get up and dance.
anatomy. Yeah,
Talking
that's
about
what
the
we're talking about.
functionality.
Yeah. But did y'all used to, and I haven't, mainly because I don't think I know where one is at, but remember the roller rinks?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
When I was awarded the state in Burnett Balin, they let us out, the teenagers out on Friday and Saturday nights. And so we would go to the roller rink. And
me too.
yeah,
Yeah,
loved
I
it.
did it for years. I loved it.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Ice
Hmm.
skating, I could never get. I busted my ass many times, and but the roller skating, yeah. Oh, let
I
me
could
finish
do
the
it, but I
favor thing
wasn't
to everybody. Nothing missing, nothing broken.
nothing
Got to
missing.
plant the seed. Got to plant the seed. But anyway, what were you saying, Trina, about the
A friend of mine in ice skating, she went all the way to the Olympics and did Disney
wow.
ice after that. She was so good. I could
Wow.
ice skate, but I couldn't ice skate like that. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
amazing talent. I'm just, wow, the memories, roller
Yeah.
skating, ice skating, and cheering on those who were really, really good at it. It was amazing.
It's
Yes, must be.
poetry
Oh,
in physical expression.
Yes,
I love
the
ice skating.
dance. Yeah.
And speaking of our youth, there was dated a gal, Robin, and she did a lot of barrel racing, and
Oh,
wow.
also, yeah, she
Yeah.
actually was a state champion,
yeah.
and she could do the rings, when they ride. Wow, I mean, so anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
gals have got it. I mean, you know, I don't know many men that could actually barrel race really good. I mean, but you women,
It's amazing. That is, I know some friends who still barrel race, and they started
yeah.
when we were in high school, and they're still racing. I mean, they are so good. And like you said, You got to be a certain breed to barrel
Oh,
race.
you do. Mike
Yeah,
and
you
Cindy asked
do.
me a question. What is it? Most people don't know, but I love rodeo.
Oh, right
I really
on.
do. I mean,
I
there
do
was a
too.
time when I was really in, I knew Brooks and Dunn, and I was really into
Yeah.
the cowboy thing, country and
Yeah.
western music, and had my beaver felt cowboy hat, was a black one with a silver band, and yeah.
I
See,
went to
that's all I would go
elementary
for. I would
school.
go for the hat.
What's that? What's that, Jenny?
That's what I would go for the hats. You guys can
Yeah.
watch the horses. I'll choose a hat.
Hats are
Yeah.
important. Hats are
Yeah.
important.
I'll
Yeah.
I
cheer
went to grade
everybody on.
school. I went to grade school, elementary, high school, everything with Ty Murray. He was the
Oh,
six-time
really?
world
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
cowboy. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was so good. He lived
Yeah.
on the same street as my grandparents. I mean, my whole life. He married Jewel, the
Yeah.
singer.
Yeah.
Grew up with him. He was an amazing cowboy.
Isn't Jewel, didn't I hear the rumors though that she was dating Costner?
I don't know, but I do know that her and Ty divorced. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, her and
Yeah.
Costner have been seen, um, jetting about.
Right on.
That's
I
cool.
like
I
Kevin
mean,
Costner. Yeah,
listen,
he's
I've
cool.
always liked Kevin. One of the favorite movies that probably most people don't know about is the movie Fandango
Ah,
with Kevin Costner.
yeah.
Uh, Judd is in there. What was Nelson? Judd Nelson? He
I
was
don't know.
in the Breakfast Club. If you've never seen the movie, put it down and watch Fandango. You'll love it. It's a young Kevin Costner, and it's
Hmm.
one of the best soundtracks that you'll find. Pat Metheny's in there, Elton
Hmm.
John. I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, I bet you someone in here has seen the movie Fandango as well. Hello, chat room. How are y'all? We're just going, we're just going with the flow. How do you like the shirt, Miss Trina and Jenny?
I
I
love it.
like it. Psychedelic.
I
Just
love
yeah. And yeah, and so you look, folks, I mean, we've got the theme going on. We didn't talk to each other beforehand.
Oh,
No, we're
Uh,
matching.
Yeah, I just got to tell you. How is everyone in
I
the chat
love it.
room? Loretta says, I went to a rodeo, which was old as I lived. It's going through there, but I saw Elvis Presley, 1968 at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
I'm
Hmm.
just singing tunes
We
today.
can't go on together with suspicious minds. I toured Graceland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw the Jungle Room where he wrote, Suspicious Minds.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was back in
Oh,
the day when the estate was still there. They had the Joyce Marie, which was his private, I think it was a 707. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm.
Heck of a
Very.
thing that the guy died on the toilet.
That happens more often than people
So they
realize, though.
say, yes.
It
Yeah.
can cause a lot of heart attacks. If you're about to have a heart attack and you're going through those motions down below, it can exacerbate what might have been brewing anyway. So there's a lot more people die on the toilet than
He was
you would like.
heavily impacted, as they would say. But
That'll
Oh
yeah.
my
do it.
goodness.
Mm. He was on
Hmm.
so many narcotics,
Yeah.
the doctor that gave him all that, yeah.
Hmm.
Sad. So many and such great talent that, in fact, I guess Elvis would be what, near 100 years old
I
if he
don't
was
know.
still
Like
alive.
Prince, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, because he was in the army in the 50s, right? Late 50s, early
I think
60s.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, he could put on a hell of a show, you
He
know.
used to do things to human beings that were unbelievable. And then came the Beatles and we saw it again. It was a movement of consciousness that
He really
broke through with
was.
that music. It changed our brains, it changed our rhythm, our internal rhythm. It was some type of an awakening that happened with that music. It was powerful.
One
It
of
was all
the,
Leany hips, wasn't it? They all started moving their
Yes.
hips.
yeah,
Like
Yes.
we got a little, the white culture got a little bit of the wonderful movement of the Middle
Yeah.
Eastern. and
Yes.
African culture where the hips are always used. And we always had that too, but we'd lost it. And I think that's what they brought
Mhm.
back, that
I can
Kundalini like
remember
movement.
one of the fondest memories with my mom was when her and the guy that she was married to went to the drive-in, and I was in the back seat, but they went and saw Hard Day's Night. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Oh, come on, come on. Talking about the Beatles and the movie A
Oh
Hard
yeah.
Day's Night.
I never saw the movie, but I
Oh,
definitely
you
know
never
about
saw
the
the
Hard Day's
movie?
Night. No.
No, I haven't either.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Now that
No.
just seems really how interesting. I love music, but yeah, I mean, and particularly when you think of the Beatles because they were the first ones to do truly the break into film. And then of course after that Elvis did all of his things, but it was yeah, and they did three or four films which were and but A Hard Day's Night, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know
Hmm.
they did.
How interesting. Well, you should watch it.
I
It's a
will.
great perspective of the four lads from Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, Regina says, yeah, I saw Hard Day's Night. Yeah, it's yeah,
Mm.
you'll like it. You'll like it. Mary
Off
Wynn
the
says
hook.
she
Yeah.
says y'all are babies, so I have to
Oh,
understand.
Mary.
I just
I
don't watch
get
a
that.
lot of TV. I've never been a big TV watcher. I wanted to
No,
be
me neither.
outside. Yeah,
Well,
I
this was
miss
film.
them.
I mean, this was, again, we watched it at a drive-in theater, which
Yeah.
those things, there's not many of them around now. They've tried to
I
bring them back,
know.
but
Yeah.
the younger generations, they just didn't realize what was really going on. We didn't have social media,
There's a bit of a
Right.
type
you know.
coming back for it in the UK. I've noticed a lot of traveling drive-throughs are going through the UK right now. So there's a bit of a re-emergence of the retro going out coming back to the UK,
You
which
mean
is great
drive-ins?
because, yeah, it's like a traveling drive-in that goes around
Oh,
the
no,
country, you know.
okay, these were actually,
And
outdoor theaters, which they had the big screens that, yeah.
yeah, they set up all of the screens and stuff,
Okay,
and
so
so
they
you
travel
go.
that around. Oh, cool.
Yeah, but there's not enough custom yet, I don't think, where they could start to plant, permanent ones. But there's
Let's go to the,
definitely
you know.
a culture coming back for it because the pubs are empty and we've lost a lot of our going out and pub life because all of the pubs they're still throwing in the towel now, thousands a
It's
week,
changing. Yeah.
because there's no money in it. They
Let's go
can't make
to the
money.
snack bar.
Um, and
Make
during
sure
the
you get
lockdowns, they
yourself a
couldn't make money.
Coca-Cola.
So the going out scene's changing, but I think it's changing for the better.
I'm
I
glad
do
I don't
too.
have to do that anymore. I
Mm.
mean,
No,
there was a time where that was like, really cool, but yeah. So I gotta
yeah,
stay on that one. But anyway, so how have y'all been? Been a couple of weeks since saw you two ladies. How's everything in y'all's life?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. I like
Waves
to
of
hear that.
energy have been rough. There's been some not so wonderful too,
Well,
but
Friday,
right.
we were talking before
Yeah.
we went live. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost got into three accidents.
Yep. I'm like, but today is wonderful. It's okay.
Yeah,
Today,
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. That's all I gotta say. That's when because I've had people say, "Why do you speak favor all the time? Why do you talk about it?"
Because it
Because it
works.
works.
It
Exactly.
works.
And even when you're not aware of it, I mean, it works. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Jenny, how have you been?
I think I've been good. I
You
think I
think you've been
have.
good? Okay, that's good.
But
How are
it's
the
the
kids?
energy's definitely whizzed up the timelines. The Has it been 2 weeks? Has it been a month? Has it been, so, but the kids are doing really well. Will's rocked all of his exams now. He's done with that. He aced them all. So he's
Excellent.
doing really well. And Theo is a little darling. We're having a lot of fun. recovering. He's doing his breath work is immense. He's really coming on leaps and bounds with that. So I'm really pleased with Theo as well. If he pops in, you'll
Go
see
Theo.
he's looking brighter and brighter each day. So
Well,
That
yeah,
Theo is the adopted
Soul
little
Tribe child.
mascot.
yeah, thank you. I was trying to put it, in a soul child, but I was trying to think, well, maybe it's a star child, but
Yeah,
You
he's part of
Theo.
our
guys
soul, and he's here to help
are
us remember how magical and powerful we are. Go,
he's
Theo.
definitely protected by the group as well, and he absolutely expects it from the group. There's no two ways about it. He's very
Mhm.
cat-like about it. There's no question that he'll like read back the comments and see something nice about either little lion or little Theo or little warrior, whatever it might be. He knows his names. He even knows the certain names that certain people call him. So yeah, he knows everybody in the space. Even Susie Q, would speak to him as a toddler, after trying to work out how to go live on my channel. I mean, he wasn't even really talking fully at that point. So yeah,
We've
but it's
watched
nice
him
that he
grow up.
expects it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, he's had this extended family, but he gets
Mhm.
accused of being American and he goes with it now. So we exposed some chats that he had with his friend group. They're just children online.
Mhm.
But of course, with the kids that he went to school with, he does have a bit of an accent. But he has had American and Canadian friends growing up. And he's heard Will's American and Canadian friends. And then his uncle's going back and forward to Canada. And his fiance is coming back with him sometimes. So he's hearing all of these accents. So he just goes with it, doesn't he? So in this chat, he's saying, yeah, he was living, I'm sure it was Arizona. He'd looked up on Alexa what temperature it was that day and told them the exact
Hot.
temperature. Like, boy, it's hot today. Uh, and he was just playing. I was like, Theo, okay, but let's rein that in a bit, And he's like, why? And I thought, you know what? That's imagination, really, that you would put a cape on and go outside. And maybe that's a bit of the online imagination, with his little trusted friends that he's got them all fooled that he's American.
Well, he's
He's
got
playing
a
imaginary games with it.
he's got a
So
social following that you know, and it's a unique uh group.
Yeah.
yes,
This group is, yeah, I would say much cut above the
Yeah.
rest.
yeah,
Yeah, deep
yeah.
Yeah.
thinkers. Well, we love Theo and keep
Yeah.
him all the time in our thoughts. So, ladies, I was observing over the last 3 or 4 days that and it started out by we wanted to go through a drive-through and get water and some other type of drinks, and we had cash, and so and what we actually gave him was a $20 bill. He couldn't make the change.
Hmm.
Oh, it got worse. So he called, I guess, the floor. I don't know who or the next person up. She came over and they closed the window and you could see them talking and they're trying, I don't know if the cash register was open. I don't know what the problem was. Then apparently they went and got an adult who finally figured it out. And so we're driving away and Lynn looks in and they got the order wrong. So it left me thinking we have teenagers, those in their apparently their late 20s, early 30s, who cannot do basic math.
Hmm.
And yet, every one of these people that, they each had their cell phones right there with them. and they're trying to, I saw the one girl trying to go in and ask the God, in which the search engine is now God,
Yeah, pretty
because
much.
it gives guidance, it answers questions, it gives a solution. And it got to me, and I said, well, we have all this knowledge, but yet it's very clearly that we are getting dumber. And I saw your comment, Jenny, on what you said, that you saw a study, and it's so I just thought that we'd bring this out because here's the point. We're seeing the physical evidence, right, on a cognitive day-to-day interaction.
Mhm.
And I'm contending that this is permeating down to the soul. We've
Yeah,
got humans who they don't even think
detached.
about it.
They're
Um,
detached.
this morning, for instance, in St. Louis, they had 5 murders.
Oh
And
my
they're
God.
bragging because there's only been 57 murders in the year, and this is a reduction from the year previous.
Low bar. Very
Yeah, I
low bar.
mean, and I asked this question. I said, so is it just us who we talk about enlightenment? We
Hmm.
talk about, people understanding that we're in a physical body and, in a 3D realm, and there is these challenges, there's these forces, and we seem to be the minority, the small remnant, because the vast majority of what I'm seeing out there, it's getting pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's the West for sure that's been affected the most by this, and I don't think it's by mistake that we all have a very similar educational curriculum. We all have a very similar work-life balance, in that it's not very balanced at all. We have to go very fast and very quick. Um, but that study, it says that there's a phenomenon. That's what I asked about. Is there a phenomenon of information overload being significant in a concern of a digital age? How can that make people less smart? And so that's what these studies came up that I looked at. And so it says cognitive overload. When individuals are bombarded with too much information, it can lead to a cognitive overload. This makes it difficult to process and retain knowledge, ultimately affecting decision making and problem solving abilities. When you go into a cognitive overload, you're activating a sort of PTSD way of thinking also that I've found with some of my clients, and in me for certain things. So it says confirmation bias is another one. With an abundance of information, people may become more entrenched in their existing beliefs, confirming their biases, limiting them to a closed mind, limited them, taking them away from open-mindedness and critical thinking, as individuals tend to seek out information that supports their values rather than challenge them.
Bingo.
Decreased decreased productivity. Studies have shown that information overload, so it's sending our children, which is completely different to the Middle Eastern and Asian cultures, for 6 to 8 hours a day at certain times that really don't work for kids with no naps in between. So decreased positivity would come in here, that studies have shown that information overload can lead to decreased productivity when faced with too many choices or too much data. When I read this one, I remembered my mum saying, don't ask what they would want for tea, just cook it. Children get overloaded with that information about food and what might be the possibilities, and then they don't want to eat. So just cook it for them. Don't give them too much choice in that. Um,
But the
and then
problem
it says,
here is it's adults, this
yeah,
information overload.
yeah. And then it says the mental health effects, it's the stress, managing excessive information that the brains didn't have to prior to the digital age that we've come into, contributes to the anxiety feeling and other mental health imbalance issues, further impairing the first one, which is cognitive functions through the cognitive overload. So it really
Yeah.
speaks about quality versus quantity, and the study after study after study on it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. I think that
they,
all of this is so big. It's a literal plan to disconnect us from light. There,
But
Mhm.
it's also a plan to put more humans into poverty. That
well,
that
because if you take away the light, you take away cognitive function.
yeah.
So, the frequencies and the light and all the things that we're being exposed to literally is a recipe to make you half alive. I mean, microwaves alone, hello, they dehydrate the cell. They're taking away the water. I mean, we got to look at this is on a massive scale, what is happening right now to the consciousness. And like you say, we're a small little pocket of people with a certain foundational desire to learn and explore what this place really is. But there's a lot more than there ever were. And this consciousness is real for way more, I think, than there ever were. So the battle is getting big.
So
I
how do
mean,
we
and
do that? I mean, I get it for this group. We dig on that, but at the same time, we now there is this bifurcation taking place in
yes,
humanity.
yes,
And, you know, so we had the tornadoes that came through St. Louis and they hit a part of St. Louis. Well, a lot of St. Louis is in poverty, but this was like in North St. Louis, which was really impoverished. So
mm,
people, they were primarily black, and many of them had these homes that had been given to them by their grandparents,
yeah,
and they're so poor they didn't have homeowners insurance. They couldn't afford it.
yeah.
And so, but the thing, and in the midst of all this and this devastation, um, they're finding out now, trying to figure out how do you rebuild, how do you put these people back in there. And the thing that they came out with this weekend is that many of these homes were brick homes, right?
okay,
Um, they they don't have brick kilns anymore. Many of these bricks can't be regot because they don't make them. But here's the big deal. It's the
Mm,
trades. There is a severe lack of bricklayers, a severe lack of carpenters, a
yeah,
severe lack,
goodness,
and it just goes on down the list.
yeah.
So we're
yeah,
suddenly waking up. Here's a city that's waking up. They have a poverty problem that has been a problem for decade, generation after generation. But now they're finding that because of technology and the shift of how humans think and go, no one thought about, well, who does the skilled trades?
yeah,
We're losing them. But
Yeah.
but that's the goal. See, the goal was to get people ill. So many of the children now, they have physical conditions to where they can't have jobs like we're used to people being able to do jobs. I think this has been strategically unwound to disempower humanity because when you know that humanity is going to awaken, you need to make sure you stop that if you want to keep things the way they are. So this transition is going to be massive, and I think a lot of people are going to go in different timelines, like you were saying, the bifurcation. But these things are going to have to start to come back, or we just won't work so well as society. I know that there's going to be a lot, but we have learned so much so fast. And I think that's the potential that's really trying to be squashed because we're receiving a lot of information that lets us know that we can affect what's happening if we focus properly.
Yeah,
but if we're
it's one
not
of the what's that?
Sorry, I was going to say for what Trina said, I absolutely agree. But if we're not also taking part in that knowledge, knowing that we need to be doing breath work with children from day one, we
Mhm.
need to be doing tasters with and fun foods with children from the moment that they can do that with you. You know, we need to be doing the things that a lot of the rest of the world is still doing. They're allowing their children to grow the food in schools. They're being dynamic about the way that they save nature and stuff.
Where's this
So if we're
happening at?
Japan, Iran's
Yeah,
got
but
wonderful.
Japan has a problem with not having enough children. They're actually
That's
a
it. Yeah, yeah. So
population in
everyone's got their
collapse.
problems, but the education isn't just all about the information. The information's backed up with these children knowing how to just know their bodies more, you know, to be able to breathe easier when they're taking on that information. Um, and the other thing, I think a lot of the social media is cut out of those countries. There's not as much freedom of the apps in those
Texas
countries.
has now outlawed you if you're under 12, you can't have be on social media.
Yeah,
But
Wow.
I
and
agree
here's
with
the
that.
thing that I see what's going on in this, but I often wonder, so where's the Enlightenment community? I don't see anyone down in the streets down here that, are, pagans. I'll put it this way. And then I was telling Lynn, I said, isn't it interesting? You don't see that many churches, but there are churches down there. And I said, so where's the others? Where are the
Yeah,
ones that talk about this, that talk about to a mother who has 5 kids that they just lost their house
yeah,
and talk to them about enlightenment? And where is that community, our community, in coming down and at least offering um, an
a net.
alternative way of healing and recovery?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see us there.
No,
Well,
I see individuals doing it and individuals in this group doing it every day. But you're right, the organization of it all isn't there.
Right. There's no organization at all.
but look, there's no
Yeah,
organization now with FEMA. It's falling apart. It's not doing what it was intended to do. So that's what I mean. All of
Yeah,
this,
I'm talking where are the Wiccans
well,
of the world? Where are the Gnostics of the world? Where are the modern day Golden Dawn? Where are the mystery schools graduates?
they're all here, but they've all been doing their work in secret.
Yeah,
I,
but you
I
know
think
what?
I think they're drowned out a lot by the algorithm as well. It's really hard
But you
to
see what my
find your
point
thing.
is? I'm just asking
Yeah,
Yeah,
the questions.
like where
Where
are they?
is the
I know.
representation?
yeah,
I think it's a quiet thing. It's a subtle thing, kind of like the subconscious mind. I don't think it needs to have a loud voice or a platform. The closest you get to creation is when you be still and you go inside. So I think we're so used to rah, 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 put it on the stage, make it seen. I think that's so much overlooked the foundation of going to the waters first. It's going to start within to be expressed without. And I know that the creation within is well on its way.
Yeah, but then again, these are hurting people who would, to me, would be, and listen, I'm not saying I have the solution. I'm just saying, A, we're not organized. We
No.
don't have organizations that can become nonprofits, tax exempt,
Mhm.
that could then become a part of these other type of solutions. Because as you pointed out, Trina, that FEMA, FEMA is not an answer. Many of the residents here are finding out because if you don't have homeowners insurance, you're out of SOL, as they would say, because you won't get any government help. So, again, and I thought, well, we keep talking about magic. We keep talking about how we can teach ourselves to manifest. So why aren't we out on the street? Why aren't we out there helping those who could, it would be a foreign message for sure, but at least it would be a counter to what they're hearing now. I'm just for discussion purposes again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it tells me that we should become more organized.
I know
Absolutely.
that, like, when we saw the disaster with the hurricane recently in the United States with Helene and North Carolina and all that,
Hmm.
South Carolina, people were completely devastated by what happened there. And they said they found community again. They met all the people they'd never met before that lived in the same mountains that they did.
Yeah.
The- it- this is how it's going to happen. It's not going to happen the way we think. It's going to happen due to need, and the need is going to show up. So this is going to start,
But
and it's going to start.
if we're truly intelligent and enlightened, then
Uh-huh.
why aren't we, and I'm putting it out there, someone who is younger, who has the dynamics and the energy of actually forming a national organization. And the purpose of the 5013C would be to raise money that in the midst of these types of calamities and human disaster, we could be out there in right on the front lines, boots on the ground, and giving a different perspective. Know what I'm saying? And still being able to hand out, hygiene products, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's,
The
I'm just
things they
putting it out
need.
there,
I would
as a
I would
discussion.
love I would love to be a part of that. I mean, if
So
it
would
could
I.
pay
I would too.
extra income to live, to survive, I would love to do something like that. But, like most of us have to have a job, have to go to work to pay the, bills, keep the
Hmm.
electric on. So how do you navigate through that if there's no profit and there's no income and there's no money? I mean, how do you
Well,
do
we
that?
could actually do a campaign. We could do a GoFundMe campaign. We would need representatives, who would show interest in it and form, again, a 5013C board. And, once
I
you get
do,
approved,
Wayne, because I think that idea is absolutely, see, that is the front of the new that's coming, is what you're proposing. And
you know
that
what,
is
Trina,
the,
I just see what you're saying. It is in fact
yeah,
in
To make the
dynamic
space.
centrifuge with that. Yeah.
yeah, you're seeing where this goes. And this is where the people themselves will build these new things that will literally actually work.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we've seen the other ones, they don't work at all, and they are getting so much money, and they have just squandered it to
They
where I
have.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Scotty
But
Boy says, I
the
never claimed to be
ethical
enlightened.
people running these
Funny.
types of organizations by good, decent, normal people, it would change the world.
I think it
And
would
that
too.
is foundational. I think you're so on the
And
right
Trina
track.
is right that you've got to make the right space, and we weren't going to make the
Yeah.
right space until we were forced to. Not in enough numbers anyway, because there's this thing also about the chosen path, and we do go too far down that and don't use the emotions to truly feel that when somebody is struck by a hurricane, we feel it like striking our hearts. We feel their anguish and their hurt for a bit, and then we take action. And that's the missing link. But as these systems are breaking down, and they very much are in the UK, try and get a dental appointment, private or NHS right now, and you're
Crazy.
scuppered. Police, the systems are breaking. The children are rejecting the school system because and I think there's a lot of planning to this. Of course, there is. Uh, Trina,
It's gonna start
you
though,
would
like you
agree.
said, these little small things like
Yeah,
if you
But
started the
you know,
foundation and then there was a disaster and you showed up and people were like, wow, this was the greatest support that we
yeah,
had. And then you're going to have to get bigger because then more people are going to call upon you for help and support. But like right here with the people in this chat, if they could all earn a living to be on call waiting for people to in need to go to that place and serve that community and help with the healing, the energy, the toiletries, basic needs that we can help people recover and get through these transitions. Because I think we're in for some pretty big ones.
So what
Yeah.
we have to do in organization, because I've done this before, and I'd be more than happy just to provide guidance, but the first thing you have to do is have a group that is willing, number one, to step up and begin to do the work. For instance, you're going to need, you can file with the IRS for a 503c, but there are requirements within filing it. Now, the reason why a 5013c is important is that it's tax deductible. So when cash donations are brought in to the person making the donation, they get the reciprocal effect of reduction in income tax. This is
Mhm.
important because this isn't this how I see this is that you have to go through an electing of a board, which would consist, of board members, chairman of the board. Then you have to have legal representation. Then
Mhm.
you're going to need accounting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I look at this, you'd have to formalize it, but that's why you have um, seed funding platforms like GoFundMe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's
Because you
say
would,
our goal was to raise 25,000.
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, we would have to have the legal structure of having number one, a law firm already willing to represent the company, but I mean the organization. But we have to determine what is it? What do we call ourselves? What is the mission statement? That's the type of stuff that has to be done now. So you see where I'm at? This can be done. It's within
Yeah.
the grasp.
Keep
Um,
hearing the word exchange, because it would be an exchange but not along those lines,
I see
it's
something for
reciprocal.
solutions. Like this is solutions and it's soul. Soul is in solutions. I keep seeing
That's a good
something about
one.
we've
solutions.
got
Yeah.
graphic designers and very good people that are good in graphics. This would be an excellent seed opportunity because
Yeah.
hear me out, folks, real quick here. If you have a need in your life and you have a talent, well, give of your talent, and I can absolutely assure you that that seed that you sow will be returned back to you. And it's always in multiples,
Yeah.
10,
But it
50,
has to be
100.
organized, Wayne. You're right, it does have to be
Yeah.
organized because even
Yeah.
within this community, and I know with Trina as well, and you, I've made logos, I've done things for people,
Mhm.
that most I've had a lot of reciprocal energy from it, but other times there's been nothing, and it's a struggle. So we do have to be very committed in the
You
people that
do.
want involved, that we do make a commitment to exchange equal energies, if not the same energies, equal
Mhm.
energies amongst one another, first of all. Because, like Trina says, you can't sustain yourself on fresh air in these
No, no,
systems.
you'd have to have a mission statement. It's really, there's work to be done. But,
Yeah.
and then again,
Yeah,
it's coming up with that name. What is that? You don't want to be offending to people you want to be, but yet you want to bring in the mystic aspect of
I
what
keep
we do.
seeing like soul dash lutions, like
I
soul
like
lution.
that.
It's a
Yeah.
soul driven soul solution. It's a solution that will embrace your soul and help you put your life back together, because that's what happens. Your soul gets fractured when you go
yeah,
through extreme trauma. We got to bring all that back together with the physical part, mental part, emotional part. All of it has to be dealt with because there's trauma that has to be dealt with on top of the physical trauma and physical
Hmm.
need. So it's a quite a big venture, but it's where we need to go.
I think it is. And while you were talking,
Hmm.
got this channel coming in, and there's a lot of witches out there
Hmm.
that live amongst people that
Yep.
they prefer not to be known as that in their community, but that's only because of the social
Stick.
stigma that has, you know,
Hmm. Well, there's
and
bad witches and the good witches. It depends on how you're using
yeah,
your
we love
magic.
them
You know
all.
what I mean?
But you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know what? They're the ones that would be the silent contributors. They're the ones that will send in the 25, the 100 into these into an organization that would be more aligned to how they would see solutions for humanity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And prayer's a part of that. I mean, I was thinking that some of the challenges, that would be potentially cast there, but then again, I think it would also be much more opened where you have much more of it's a breath of fresh air. I'll put it that way. I think it
I
could be
think
very
any
positive.
I think any kind of religious label is going to be toxic. I
I
think it
agree.
needs
I
to
agree.
be, there is no religion. This is about
Oh, you
soul.
know.
It's
We
about
all
Yeah.
have a
soul.
soul. We're going to love your soul. Whatever you do, you
Without
boo.
without dogma,
Yes,
you know.
you do,
See,
you
and
boo.
that's the message because it is about
Yeah.
soul.
Yes, it's not
I
about
mean,
all this
these
other
people,
shit.
you go living through a tornado, your soul's going to be damaged. I don't care what
You're going to
anyone
want a
says.
blanket for your soul. You're going to want a
Yeah,
blanket. You're going to
yeah.
want soul
Stuffed
food
animals
given
for
to you.
children,
Yeah,
toys,
yeah.
books.
I mean, I think about number of craftspeople that, could actually quilt and make quilts and blankets and donate that, right? But
Mhm.
here's the interesting thing. It would be endued with power because the person's going to put it next to them.
Yes,
This is an opportunity for us to do what we do best.
yes.
Hide the sigils in the stitch. I've done that
That's
before.
Mhm.
what I'd be talking about. That's what I'd be.
Uh-huh.
I mean, could you imagine that you get, 300 handmade quilts and blankets that have, let's say, a small sigil or something in there that the person who's going to be using that for warmth would have not be really consciousness of it, but they would in fact be endued with that power.
Yes.
Listen, we were talking, Trina, about the two or
Past,
more.
Pastor Paul Bagley, they do that. They have a blanket service that they do for their church, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
literally
it
they
goes
have
back way back in
yeah
the
they make
Pentecostal point.
yeah they make the quilts, and then they
Hmm.
pray over them, and they send them to people, and they swear they're healing blankets, and that there's
Comes from Second
power in that.
Corinthians. It's
Yes,
Paul, people would get a patch of his clothing, and
yes,
that patch would be Marilyn Hickey did that, but it's absolutely right. And there is power because where there's two or more gathered,
yes,
I mean, this is where you get the power of agreement, the prayer of agreement.
yes.
And we are creators.
And that goes
Mm.
back through scientific, geometric, uh,
Yeah.
all types of knowledge, the Trinity. So if you can have multiple Trinities building on one another, even down to Tesla re-emerging with that wisdom that came before him, he brought it back in and he spoke about the three. If you can know about the frequency and the Trinity, you'll know about the agreement with the universe. You'll
Yes,
know all of the wisdom. So it's so true on all levels that if you can, especially if you're interceding and you can do multiple stacks of three people, working in tandem, that's
Well,
powerful.
imagine this. Imagine the organization, because it's going to be Gnostic base, which includes
mhm,
paganism, but imagine this, that part of the proceeds that we would raise is that we would buy items from artisans, which
That's what I mean, the support.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
I'm
what I
talking
mean.
about.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, a person could, I'm not saying they can make a living, but why not? I mean, if there is a product that is in need, this is an opportunity, I think, for making cottage industries being able to be into that support mechanism of the core hub, which would be the organization.
Well, like you said about the witches that don't want to be seen, and I totally get that because I've seen what that can do in this system. It
Yeah,
can't
we
you
don't
attract
want in
bad
any
energy?
way to have
But
a person facing that
they
kind
could
of
maybe even
persecution.
buy from an artisan
Bingo.
to donate to somebody in the hurricane field, so they don't want the blanket for themselves, but they want to give something physically, but they're also giving the monetary funds to the person creating them also. So it becomes a chain then of
And I'm
exchange.
thinking, hear me out. We're just brainstorming. This is what I did for a living and
Mhm.
made a lot of good. Anyway, um, so imagine this, that we actually have a mobile response that you can come into disaster scene. And part of what the presence would be there is not only in handling those type of products and needs, but think about it. You'd also have the ability to have rooms where you could basically practice meditation, practice healing, Reiki.
Yeah.
You could have a number of different modalities that the organization would have as part of its on-site presence. You see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely. It's a calming, healing balm for a wound that needs some love.
So you could be in, let's say, Indianapolis. You
Yeah.
wouldn't need to have someone fly in. Excuse me. You would have someone in that generality who was already, let's say, a master master, and they would be compensated for their time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There's lots of
Yeah.
services. You
I
could
mean,
be
there
doing
is just how you can
detoxes.
go on to this.
Yeah, we could be doing all, but this community alone knows probably every energy modality on the planet,
Yeah.
even down to quantum hypnotherapy and all of those fun things. So yeah, we've got a whole
It's just,
big basket of beautiful gifts to give.
by the way, ladies, Jenny, people love that color on you.
Oh, thank
Mhm.
you. I've just seen
Periwinkle.
Bonnie's comment. Thank you, beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Kind of
Yeah.
goes with my color right here. Yeah. Wait a minute. There's a
Uh-huh.
trans in.
We're all in
There you
the blues
go.
and aquas.
Oh, thank you. It's I just thought it was pretty trippy, and it was like, all right. We love y'all out there. Scotty Boy says it's a great idea, so let's do it. Yeah, I mean, it's just gee, I mean, this could
Mary
be
does the electro gardening and the tensor rings and the copper. Brian's a Reiki master. I mean, I'm just sitting here going through the list. I'm like, I know
see?
I've got like 19 modalities under my belt. It's like, there's a lot to work with here. And Cindy and Mike, I'm sure they would join us for some of these ventures and
Oh,
go out and help
pass
people
this
heal. And
around, folks. I mean, I
yeah, I
don't
think
ever
this would
ask
be
people, but
a
repost it
huge
on
a
your
huge
different social
option.
platforms. I like to know what other people think.
Well, this is like where we all started a long time ago, going back to Boston. This is where
Hmm.
you find your greatest joy is
Yeah,
when
be of
you're
service to
living,
others.
being of service to
That could
others.
be the
Yeah.
name of the organization,
I was
Boston.
thinking about that too. And then Bosto Solutions.
Huh. Well, so pass this around, folks, into the different communities. I'd love to hear that. And if you're an attorney, a law firm, and you happen to be enlightened and aware, we would love to talk to you. And because this is the
Wayne,
type, what?
what if we, because I don't know if we need a C3. What if we just needed a foundation or a society?
Well, here's the thing. When you are a 501c3, is that you not only get the tax deduction, but it opens the doors to other resources. And because I'm thinking of other companies that would love to partner with us, they would love to donate to us. They could be donating hosting services. They could be hosting
You know,
and
I don't, like I said, I wonder if sometimes if that's going to be more of an obstacle than a benefit because it seems like a lot of these big, big, big things, they don't want things like this to succeed. They're
well,
literally
you know,
shutting them down.
you see, we're all, and that's what you challenge
But
on
like,
that. So do we do
but
this
like,
or do you not?
no, you do, but you don't need to do it the normal way it's been done. I'm just thinking that there
So
might be
how,
new
so
ways.
what, how, when you look at a philanthropist, how
Well,
would
okay,
you?
in North Carolina, the number one thing they needed was those little heaters. You know, the
Hmm.
little heaters. Okay. Well, people on YouTube went and did videos and how they were gathering funds to go drop off and donate these little heater things. And people from their own companies, they were like, I'll donate, I'll go buy heaters for them. I'll go buy heaters. All these people started doing this. Then the company, from all of the people that were buying all the heaters for the people giving it away, they gave them $1 million worth of their little heaters away to them people because of the need and how
And the
people.
company wrote it off on their
Yes,
taxes. But if
yes,
there's
yes,
money,
yes.
there's a tax potential problem there, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Listen, I just
I
know
get it.
how a corporate structure done. I've formed nonprofits,
Yes,
and you've got to watch your ass. And if you don't
for
form
real.
it,
Yeah,
if you're going to take the step
yeah,
here in the United States, then you're going to have to be compliant to federal, state
absolutely.
laws. And
Yes.
so,
And it's a bitch. There's a lot to go with that. There's a lot. You're right, Wayne, but I don't know why, but I just keep hearing you might be better off in a society or foundation. So there might
well,
be
then
something
that's a
to that.
legal question
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
don't
that would be an
have.
attorney question for sure.
Yeah, I don't
Absolutely.
have the answer to that.
I just say leave that door open to investigate because there's something to that. And I don't know why or what, but like I said, legal advice would be necessary because I have no idea.
Think like a trust even alongside it, maybe if you could build a trust where the money's protected that way too, that
It
goes
has
in.
to have that. It has to
And
have a
then
trust.
so that would be
Um, Trust
one.
are different than yeah, I understand what these are two separate vehicles here.
So could you
And
not have a trust attached to a corporate? Because I've heard of that
mm-mm.
before.
You form a trust, it's a separate entity, much
Okay.
Yeah,
like, a foundation. If you're
yeah.
going to do a foundation, different procedural bylaws that you have to follow. And that's why you need legal advice, because the last thing you want to do is to be found to be non-compliant in a
Oh,
fiduciary.
that's the easy way to get it shut down, to
Yeah,
get
Yeah,
them
yeah,
to shut
yeah.
it down. That's the easy way to do that. But one of
yeah.
the mission statements would be, I think, because I get what Trina's saying, and I did a lot of that. I set up a lot of groups for small businesses during the lockdowns, and
Mhm.
grifters were a real problem. They were a real problem, letting anything take off. So the board is super important. And a kick-ass board to protect the underneath is vital. But one of the mission statements could be to say that, like the big donors that Wayne would be talking about, that like in frequency of healing, we mustn't give healing with a caveat of strings attached. That so
Mhm.
that when people are paying into that, one of our things is it's paying into a pot. And when that pot needs to be used for heaters, for flasks, whatever the need might be, there's no sort of caveats that have been given, the same way that there would be when we're healing somebody. We give that
And I
healing
would
away.
suggest that you run then for a position on the board, because we're basically talking corporate governance, and that's
Yeah.
what you're
Hmm.
talking about, Jenny, as far as where
Mhm.
does the money go? But that's getting the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
we, you know,
I'm
it's
just
Yeah.
saying you could have both what you and Trina were saying, Trina's idea, but you could have both. If we had certain mission statements like that, you could have the donations of the smaller businesses that then get the advertising of helping, and the reciprocity of customers that will go back to them, hopefully, when their lives are whole again. But also, you can, I don't see why you can't have both, because there's actually a lot of people who are very rich who are starting to get very frustrated about where their tax money is going and not being spent on, the systems that they're missing in the societies that they're living in. So I think you could hit both equally, with the right mission statements.
um I
Maybe
just
we,
go on my own personal experience. the IRS here in the United States. Hello there, Mr. Theo. Um,
Mm.
so that would be a conflict within the organization if you have a trust within a nonprofit, because here's the problem.
Oh,
Who are
okay.
they giving money to? That's going to require two separate boards. It will require two separate legal entities
Yeah,
because a nonprofit is much more leeway in what it can do. It's much more flexible how it can potentially in matters of fiduciary responsibility. Whereas a
Okay.
trust or a foundation have very strict requirements within that. So if I'm approaching you, Trina, as a potential donor, I would be self-defeating myself because I'm telling you, well, we have two different structures and
yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't making reference to the trust anymore. I was just saying you could hit up both types of donors because there's a lot of rich
oh, we
people
would.
get
Yeah,
in,
we would.
very frustrated with it. I think they're both out there because both
Yeah, they are.
sectors are getting really pissed off with the government and where their money's going to. Sorry, Theo.
Are you talking about like organ donation?
Not organ donation, baby, no. I'm talking about time donation.
Only of the soul, Theo. Only of the soul.
Yeah.
Donating
What,
time and love.
Well,
what do you
this is the type of
facilitate
thing.
most?
Once there is a structure of individuals who are saying, "Listen, I'm willing to step up. This is what I bring to the table. This is what I can add." Then from that, typically out of a group like that, then you would narrow it down to saying, "Well, then who would be on the board with certain positions there?" Once that structure's done and you have the legal support of that, because then we can start going out beyond funding platforms like GoFundMe. We could actually go out now and typically you could do a road show. You go around
Yeah.
to major cities, major communities of enlightenment and tell them this is what we're doing. And the word on a social media platform would spread very quickly, no doubt.
I started two companies that way. It is a
Yeah,
great way to get things
we're
moving.
gonna need, for instance, a spokesperson. Man, woman,
Well,
doesn't
you're
matter.
probably going to be the spokesperson, but you could have backup spokespeople. I mean, I could help you do spokesperson stuff
It's
and
like
say, this is what
there's
we want
very
to do.
talented
This is
people
how we want
out
to do
there,
it.
no doubt about it. But
But yeah,
I can look at this group here, and um, Scotty Boy says to Theo, "I can't donate my organ. I'm still using it."
right.
I'm showing
I
that,
love
Scotty.
that. But so here we are. What a fun. I mean, this
Yeah.
was not the goal that where we started this out, but there's a reason for everything, and so. This is a heck of an opportunity. It really is. And there are so many good companies out there that would support, I think, an organization like this in its mission statement.
I
It's the
do too.
refining that mission statement is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So if
right.
you're a writer, you could say, well, listen, I'll write the mission statement.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're again, if you're a lawyer, have a law firm. If you're looking to do some, um, program
So I've
gratis
looked
work
up
here, we would love to talk to you, and it would be a good place for lose some of that pro bono work.
Hmm.
even law students that are wanting to get some of their hours under their belt, for the hours that they need to do for their course. Law students would be great to reach out to. I know there's a couple of websites, that there's some very intelligent law students that are happy to give out advice. They're at a certain level, and it tells you what level that they're at, and what kind of advice they can give. But I've looked up the name Bosto as far as a business name and to see what else is out there that might coincide with it. And the only thing that's coming up big style is a Bosto graphics tablet, for making
Mhm.
art. That's literally the only thing I can find as we've been talking that relates to Bosto. So I don't even think that would be too much of a conflict, but it might be something to think about.
Hmm.
It seems like quite a popular tablet.
Yeah, actually, the BOSTA would be the acronym of be of service to others,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
again, you know, my experience
Mhm.
here, as that's what I used to do for a living, is that you need legal. And
It won't work without it.
yeah, I won't do it. And you can get a law firm, and law firms can be such an asset. My past is always that, you get, a top 10 law firm. They open the doors to accounting, they open the door to potential funders, and yeah.
yeah.
For a thing like this, I'd actually put on in my suit and tie again, you know.
Hmm.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, we
Yeah.
all want to see that.
yeah,
Well, if
because,
we could get this together, I might have a pretty impressive group you could pitch to.
mhm, yeah,
I'll bring you to my neighborhood.
because a woman loves a
Yes.
well-dressed man, so. Well, we
Mhm.
just got an idea, I don't know. This is an opportunity. Pass it around and yeah. I mean there's a lot of, work and, but this would be a good time if you have time, and we all do, and you're a good writer or you're a good organization. Um, this is a good place to sow some seed and say, hey, listen, I'll get this. And I'm not looking to lead this thing. There are others out there. Uh, but yeah, think about that. If you may be that talented CEO that would like to come up, we'd love to talk to you. Bosto
Mhm.
Solutions, Soul Solutions. There we go. That's it. Did y'all
Mhm.
get that? I like that.
Mhm.
Bosto Soul Solutions. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe all solutions with the actual shortening of a action plan or mission statement being Bosto, because
Yeah.
that might be too busy for a logo, but you could say that's the main ethos of the whole enterprise, being of service to others. And I
Yeah.
think that's where you would fit that in good. But I like the soul solutions.
Yes, Soul Solutions is the
With the
result of
Bosto
what
added
happens
on.
with
Yeah,
Bosto, because Bosto brings forth Soul Solutions. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
And then I
Beautiful.
get the song behind us, I'm a soul man. Do, 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 do.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Well, listen, great ideas start from, I always like to say it, within the immersion of chaos. And, you know, we certainly have gone, how shall we say, a circuitous route today. But hey, I haven't
Yeah,
seen Gaia.
let's.
Has Gaia been in the chat room?
I
I haven't
haven't seen
seen it.
Gaia.
Yeah, I haven't seen Gaia. It's good to see
Uh-uh.
Gotti Boy again.
But
Yeah.
you see, Wayne, it's like, have we learned anything? Look what we're discussing today. Look where our minds are going. It looks like we've learned
Oh,
a
this,
lot.
to be on the board would be a fantastic position because the theological, philosophical, and ideological debate and decisions in crafting the message. And once the message, and listen, if you're a designing firm, if you're a creative marketing firm, and let's say if you are excellent in doing logos and coming up with, the bylines of, that type of thing of helping to, what we're looking would really be for is our corporate identity. What is this going to look like? If you got that type of talent, this would be the place to definitely get it going.
Mhm.
Okay. It's 1111 or 111 or something
I've
around.
been saying that all day today. It's 1911 here now. Again, the 1919 we're gonna
19,
go
there
out
you
on.
go. Love you, ladies.
Love
Love
you
you
too.
We're
too.
going to
You
pick this
too.
back up, let's see. We'll see what Mike and Cindy have. It's interesting. Pass it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and for me, it's 11:11.
Yeah. Time flies. Love
Amazing.
y'all. You
Love you
know,
too. Yeah.
love everyone there in the chat room. Thank
Yeah.
Love
you.
you,
Thank you
Jack.
Thank
for
you for
being a part
being
of all
here.
this. We
Much
love you.
love.
Right, everyone. See you
Love you
tomorrow.
all.
I'm going to try to be here tomorrow. Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to try to
yeah.
be here. I got up. I wait till you. I'm going to tell y'all to after we get off, but tune in tomorrow because I got a mind coitus session ready to
Oh,
go. Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Never doubt the stimulation of eccentricity.